The long-established concepts of life and death have been blurred by modern drugs and machinery, creating new dilemmas for nurses and doctors. And every day, men like Donald Garrow, children's doctor, are faced with questions that agonize the mother of every newborn baby, and agonize him too. If the baby's handicapped, is it right to let it live? And if it cannot feed itself, should it be allowed to die? Or is that murder? Dr. Garrow holds the controversial view that doctors and nurses should not make these godlike decisions for parents. The parents themselves should be involved with their baby's chances of life or death.
29.3 centimetres or 11.5 inches, whichever you prefer.
In the special care baby unit he runs at Wickham General Hospital, a mother will share in the decision-making at a time when many doctors believe she's in no state to make a choice. Some doctors stick to the view that they must prolong life at all costs, and parents will often accept damaged babies without resentment. Other doctors view a life severely compromised by handicap as a fate worse than death, and many prospective parents would agree. Mrs. Hilary Moore nurses her 4-day-old baby, not sure that it will live much longer. It was a difficult breech birth, and just as she was expecting to celebrate a successful pregnancy, the baby was taken away.
Well, when I first saw her being taken away from me, the way she was held and her bluey-grey colour, I honestly thought she was dead then. And I knew that there was trouble, you know, and I thought she was dead. But then she came down to special care, and I didn't see her then for about 4 hours. But my husband kept coming back with reports as to the fact that they were doing every test that they could possibly do and so on. But when I first saw her, she was all wired up to things and tubes and things, which was not a very pleasant sight.
At birth, baby Lindsay couldn't breathe properly for 15 minutes and had to be resuscitated artificially. She turned blue through lack of oxygen. She's had fits and convulsions, and because of this, Dr. Garrow fears she may have suffered permanent brain damage.
There were quite a lot of involuntary movements. She arched her back, but because at that time she'd got clothes on, it wasn't so apparent as it would have been had she still been in the special cot, naked. And her arms and legs went sort of twitchy, and her face round her mouth sort of went blue. Well, she went to bluey colour altogether, really, most of her face.
You couldn't tell any of that looking at Lindsay now?
No, not now. She's quite pinky. When she does open her eyes tend to roll a bit, and she can't suck very well. She's starting to suck a bit, which she shows promise, but at first she wasn't sucking at all, and the day before yesterday she was just like a little rag doll. When the doctor held her on his hand, she was just like a U shape over his hand, and there was no response at all that day.
If your baby wasn't to improve, if she was to be permanently damaged at worst,
yes,
would you want to keep her then?
If she goes on to demand feeding, and she can prove that she wants to survive and can do it, well, that's what I hope will be the outcome. But as I say, she can't be tube fed forever, and well, I'm just hoping and praying that whatever is the right thing for her will happen.
If the fits and convulsions indicated a brain damage that wasn't repairable, what then?
Well, I don't want her to have an existence. I want her to have a life. If she's going to live in this world, I want her to have a life as opposed to an existence. So I just pray that if it's best for her, that her life should be very short. Well, you know, that it is. Although I can't bear to think of being without her now.
When I've had my first baby, there was only my husband and the midwife. This time there was a lot of nurses in there, and the doctor come in, and they were sort of talking and everything. So I guess then there was something wrong. And anyway, I delivered the baby, and they had me covered up all in the green gowns and everything. As soon as the baby was born, they took it away and outside. And I knew then, I said, "What's wrong with the baby? You know, tell me." And nobody said anything at first. And one of the little nurses come up and she said, "Well, there's something slightly wrong with your baby."
It's just 24 hours since Kathleen Smith gave birth to her baby, but there's a problem. The baby has an encephalocele, an abnormal growth at the back of the head.
Well, I mean, everyone wants a normal baby, don't they? I mean, if it just sort of had something slightly wrong with it, I would have wanted it straight away. But when he said it had a lot of abnormalities, I couldn't imagine what it was. Because when you don't see it, you imagine the worst. You know, you sort of think it might be worse than what it is. So she brought it round here to me that day, had a little bonnet on, and she asked me if I wanted to look at the head, which I did do, which was horrible at first, but now it doesn't seem so bad to me. It showed me its little body, that was okay, and its little face, and that seemed okay. I've been down to see it since, and I haven't actually picked it out myself, but I've touched it and just sat there looking at it and that.
What's going to happen to the baby?
Well, it's going to stay in the hospital, and I'm just going to come in now and then or whenever I want to see the baby, and eventually it's going to die. Probably, they said it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, but at the most probably 3.
Do you know in your own mind how the baby will die?
No, I just imagine that well, they've told me that it will get slimmer and it'll lose its colour, and I imagine it'll just go in its sleep like that.
Modern drugs and machines keep alive most of the babies in the unit. Unaided, the babies are usually too ill or so premature they can't fend for themselves. The medicines prevent diseases from killing them. If they cannot breathe, a machine will keep their lungs full of air. And if a baby cannot suck, milk is fed by tube so that the baby gets nourishment, hopefully to thrive and suck on its own. Babies can be made to survive with the new technology, but there's now a recognition in some hospitals that it might be better to let nature take its course by withdrawing treatment, or not even giving it in the first place.
Yes, now, have you seen this baby? I think you have. It's a very sad and worrying case, isn't it? Let me just have a wash.
Dr. Garrow knows that baby Nicola is going to die, and he shares his anguish over the abnormal infant on a ward round with senior and junior doctors and the unit sister.
Exactly how we...
He wants to discuss how Nicola might be treated before he consults the mother.
How soon after birth did she know there was something wrong?
Immediately. She knew immediately at birth, but they didn't say it was a large lesion at the time. Just said
Something wrong?
There was something wrong, yeah.
And
But
here
she
there
had
is
had
something
a...
very serious abnormality. Can't get it
We
off.
also had some twitchings.
Head fits.
Yes, head
It's
fits.
having focal fits. Its arms and feet were moving slightly.
I've talked with the parents, and they agree that there's no question of thinking of this baby surviving. That they don't want resuscitative measures because I'm sure that
It needs
will be-
resuscitating in order to survive.
Well, no, but it needs feeding in order to survive. Tube feeding is one of the most difficult areas because if a baby is only going to survive if it's tube fed, and if everybody feels it shouldn't, to withhold tube feeding, some people feel is doing a violence.
They won't sort of do anything extra to keep it alive because eventually it's going to die anyway, whether it be sort of 2 months' time. So they're just, if it wants a feed, we're going to feed it, and if it doesn't, then we're not going to force feed it and just let it go naturally.
It's sometimes said that a mother would want to hang on to a baby whatever it was like. What do you say about that?
Well, I don't want to hang on to this one the way it is. It's If it just been like an arm or something that I could cope with, but that I know I couldn't cope with, not to look after forever. And if I let it, you know, be fed properly and everything, it's going to die anyway. You know, so it's just going to mean more heartache, say, maybe 6 or 7 weeks' time.
What line would you take that the mother wanted the baby to live?
Oh, well, then it must be helped to live, but one has to explain what the consequences are. And yet, if one tube-fed this baby, I don't see why it shouldn't survive until adult life.
It wouldn't survive without tube feeding, though? I mean, is that...
Well, that again is does it suck well enough to
Well,
survive?
she can suck, yes, but not for a very long period. So we don't give her very much at all. So will you now just let the baby decline then? Yes. She'll take her own time. She'll just need a lot of care during that time, and the parents will need a lot of support.
Does the father come in?
Yes, yeah.
And we won't push her to be involved, but if she wants to be involved, she'll be allowed to, and allowed to care and cuddle and change and bath and do things. And parents whose babies are dying can do this marvelously. And I think it's right to be involved. It's not right to opt out and to pretend it's never happened and that they haven't had a baby that's dying or going to die.
Well, what we do say to the mum is that we need her help to look after the baby. And that although the nurses love these babies, that if the mum helps us, it makes it easier, our task easier, and that seems to help them a lot.
They can recognize that their baby's got a few weeks, days or weeks to live, and they love it completely during that time. It's marvelous.
And they don't regret it afterwards when the baby...
Well, they regret it and they mourn and they're sad, but to be involved, I've never found anybody who's wished they hadn't been involved with the very painful process that this is. It's terrible.
The dilemma is not just medical. It's also a moral, some might say legal question.
It's a slippery business of withdrawing life-saving measures without killing. And some people say, oh, that is a form of murder. And if it is, then so it is to turn off a ventilator in a person who is hopelessly brain damaged, for instance. Then some people, I think, do regard that as murder. Well, if it is, then it is a sensible and right thing to do, you see. But why one should draw a distinction between stopping air or oxygen reaching a person to keep them alive and food and water is not perhaps very clear, but people feel it to be different. And the withdrawal of nourishment is felt to be a rather hateful thing to do. And I don't think it's hateful under some circumstances. It doesn't entail any suffering or any pain.
It's now 5 days since baby Lindsay was born unable to breathe, and she's twice been given up for dead. But she has no physical abnormality, and it's difficult for her mother to believe there's anything seriously wrong with her. The baby looks in the pink.
Oh, you're awake now, aren't you?
In the hope of detecting any sign in baby Lindsay that spells progress, Dr. Garrow is making another examination. It's a worrying time. The baby's life is still in the balance.
Is she still very floppy?
Yes, but not quite as floppy as she was.
Delivery had been difficult. After that, there were periods of not breathing. And this looked as if brain damage may have occurred. Within a few hours of birth, very severe and prolonged convulsions occurred. And for that, we give Valium to stop it. And Valium, in a newborn baby, can take quite a long time to work out of the system. And it makes you floppy, it makes babies floppy. So I'm hoping very much that her ragdollishness that you
Yes.
describe is not due to the damage associated with delivery, but to the valium that we've given. Nothing but clothes, really, isn't it?
Yes, it's just,
Never mind.
do you want me to
No,
try and get rid of stock?
It's all right.
Well,
Well,
she,
I'm not. I'm letting her, holding her head a little bit.
she's not quite the rag doll she was on Wednesday.
She's not.
is
She feels better, doesn't she?
Yes, well, she certainly looks better.
Mm. There you are. That's a nice normal yawn, isn't it?
Yes.
What do you feel in your heart of hearts should be done with baby Lindsay?
Oh, I'm feeling that the outlook is very bad, but I'm not sure yet. And one of the great difficulties in this position is that there is uncertainty. You can feel pretty sure, but you want to feel 100% sure. And it's very, very difficult to feel 100% sure in medicine.
How will the decision be taken eventually? Will it be yours or will it be the parents?
Well, if I feel that I can really tell them that there isn't any doubt, any reasonable doubt, that their baby's going to be severely brain damaged, then how we behave will be decided jointly between them and everybody. I try to involve all members of my staff and the nursing staff, you see. And each person and relatives and friends and anybody who knows the parents and can put their points of view is encouraged to do so. And out of this, hopefully, will come a consensus. It won't be a decision that I make personally, but that everybody feels that for instance, they might feel that to go on tube feeding this baby was really wrong.
Most babies only stay in the unit 2 or 3 weeks before they're well enough to be taken home. But the staff are worried about one baby who's been with them 7 weeks, and they fear he's been abandoned by his teenage mother. She left the unit 5 weeks ago and hasn't been back since. Baby Damien was born a month early and had to be tube fed, but he's now perfectly fit. In a unit where the mothers would give anything for a well baby, one mother won't even look at her thriving child. Sister Jean MacDonald.
Nothing wrong with the baby at all, except he's tiny and he's still premature. But he's really, he's almost ready for home now because he's such a good boy. He feeds beautifully, keeps his temperature, stays nice and warm. His only one little problem is that he's slightly anemic, which is very common to tiny babies of this age. And he has a little bit of iron each day and might come to the stage where he needs a little bit of blood, but so far he's done very, very well.
So he could go home very soon?
He really is ready for home if he was going to a home where the parents were caring and there were no social problems, but there are a lot of social problems within this family. But unfortunately, his mother's a little unmarried girl, and she's not been very much involved with him because she couldn't make up her mind whether she wanted to keep the baby or not.
How many times has
She's
the mother
been in
been?
3 times.
In 7 weeks?
In 5 weeks, because she was here to start with. She stayed on the unit for a fortnight with her baby and then went home. And she very much wants to keep her baby, and we're just hoping and praying that she'll come in and stay again with us, which we wanted to do. We would like her to come and stay for another week or 2 to get used to her child before she takes him home. If we allow this baby to go home to not very good social circumstances with a mother who's had an unhappy childhood herself, how can we expect that he will have a happy life? Because he's not just a toy to play with, he's a human being who needs a good chance in life. We feel that we could teach them a lot.
But can you teach love?
I think so. I think we can help to teach love. We can show her how to stroke her baby and play with her baby and get him to smile at her. But it is a gradual process. It's not something that she will learn overnight.
Mothers can stay in the unit as long as they wish and stick close to their babies. Their separate rooms are part of the unit, which was purpose-built for Dr. Garrow. He'd found that some mothers were affected badly when their babies were taken away to be nursed. It seemed to them as if they hadn't had a baby. All told, 9 mothers can live in, supporting each other through similar crises. Kathleen Smith, whose baby Nicola will be allowed to die, has been told she may now go home to look after her family and lead as normal a life as possible under what must be a difficult time for her. Reluctantly, she can see the sense of it after the cruel cancellation of her family plans. Kathleen, you seem to have a lot of things to pack.
Yeah, I have. I thought I'd be in sort of about 7 days, so I packed quite a few things with me, but just take them back home again now.
How do you feel about having to leave the baby behind?
Well, I wouldn't want to take her home anyway. I feel all right in myself, but sort of leaving here, I know she's going to be loved and looked after, and I can come in any time I want, any day I want, and as often as I want to see her and hold her and feed her when I want to. So I don't sort of, it's not so I'm not going to see her again.
Will you do that? Will you come back?
Oh yes, yeah, I'm going to come till the end and cuddle her and that. At least that way she's had my love for a couple of weeks.
Do you think you'll be able to face
Yeah,
seeing her?
yeah, I've held her this morning and I've watched them change her and I've seen her completely. So, sort of seeing it, I'm okay about it now. I sort of was not seeing it before, and I know exactly what it looks like and everything, and I don't mind. I could even sort of change her. I sat there and bottle fed her this morning, gave her a little cuddle and put her back in her bed and everything. So.
But it's made that difference, has it? Because it was only yesterday that you didn't...
It's funny, but yesterday I didn't really want anything to do with her. And instantly I didn't love her, but going down there gradually, and last night I had a little cuddle of her for half an hour, and she's got a lovely little face, and her body and everything's lovely, so she keeps her little bonnet on, she's just my little baby, you know?
The baby seems strong,
That's
physically.
what they said, that's the only shame, that it, like body-wise, lungs and heart and everything, it's a very strong baby.
Do you feel you'll be up to coming to see her?
Yes, I will, for the simple reason that I've accepted the fact that she is going to die. It's like, if I didn't know, if I was just coming and wondering all the time, and then all of a sudden they said to me, right, your baby's dead, that would be more of a shock if I thought there was hope for her. But I know there is no hope, so in myself I've accepted the fact that she is going to die, which makes it that easier for me, because I'll be prepared if they do phone me up and say. I mean, I've spoke all about funeral arrangements and everything, so I know exactly where I'm going, you know.
Did you give the baby a name?
Yes, I called her Nicola. It wasn't my original name because, well, all being well, I tend to have more children, and if I did have a little girl, I was going to call it Claire, so I didn't really want this one to be called Claire, so I called her Nicola, which was my second choice.
But the experience hasn't put you off having a baby?
No, because I just love babies. Just to hold them and that.
Kathleen Smith may be losing her baby, but the thoughtful way family tragedy is handled in the unit, with everything openly discussed, it's not so difficult for her to bear the loss. And when her husband comes to take her home, it seems natural for him to bring their 2-year-old daughter. All the family are involved with the baby. Baby Lindsay. She's still looking healthy, but she's still having fits, which could kill her.
She's been a bit blue earlier on, and so I didn't let her try and suck much because she was getting a bit blue. And then she was tube fed because I didn't want her to get any more distressed.
Have there been any signs of fits and convulsions again?
No, what I thought was a slight fit a few minutes ago actually turned out to be hiccups. I was so relieved. I build my hopes up, but I know that there's still a chance that they could be dashed, but...
In what way?
Well, I mean, that she could have a setback, and she could still have a convulsion, a major one, but that won't stop me hoping.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah. I'll still do everything for her that I possibly can, so that if her life should end, which please God it doesn't, I will feel that I've done everything I possibly could for her in her short life.
Baby Damien, the abandoned baby, is now 8 weeks old and thriving. He sucks on his own and he's growing, but his young mother still hasn't been in to see him.
We have failed trying to get her in by car, trying to get her in by bus and everything. I'm going to try and write to her and see if that will help.
But do you see this as part of your work in the special unit, getting this mother to come in?
Well, yes, it's a team effort, really. I've never had to go and write and ask somebody in ever, but if it's got to be, it's got to be. Because we must get her in to see her baby, if she's going to keep her baby. She's already stated that she doesn't want her baby to be force-fed in any way, but just to be kept comfortable and have a peaceful, respectful end, instead of putting tubes down and keeping her alive.
Could you be wrong? I mean, supposing the baby refuses to die?
Oh, yes, I suppose we could, but I don't think she is, because already she's showing signs that she doesn't want a lot of food, and she will just slowly fade away. We just don't believe in her case it's right to prolong life.
Do you see any conflict yourself in your professional work?
Yes, I find it very hard to know that we're allowing her to die. I don't know, this question will go on as long as there's a world. This conflict will go on with everybody. But I believe, and the staff believe, that it is wrong to keep a child alive who is so grossly deformed against the parents' wishes, and let her die peacefully and with a little bit of dignity.
If the baby sucks, it's going to live.
It depends how much she's going to take. If we were giving her the food that we would give to a normal 6-pound infant, she'd be having a lot more food than she's having now. A lot more. Not just a little bit, a lot more. She just takes what she can cope with at the moment, and it's not very much at all.
How long do you think it will take?
Oh, heavens. I don't know, maybe 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. Quite a time.
Well, what is that like for you? Because you're going to be in charge of the thing.
Well, it's very difficult. It's very difficult much more for the nurses, who are doing a lot more with her than what I am. They find it very distressing. They love the babies. They get very emotionally involved with the babies as well as with the parents. We have to just keep getting them through another day. And some of them can't cope with it. Some of them won't look after these babies because it hurts them and frightens them. But there are those who feel it is their job and their responsibility to care for these babies, and they do love them, there's no question about it. They don't have any awful feelings that what they're doing is right or wrong. They just believe that it's their work, and they're here to look after a baby who unfortunately wasn't born so very perfect. Come on. Don't you? No, not today, Mum.
That's nice and interesting.
What about the other one?
Oh, yes, there's a good grip. Look.
There we are.
You see?
So this is a good thing. It looks to me as if she's coming out of a druggy state.
Yeah, we've had this
I
feeling, haven't we?
have this feeling that perhaps she is.
Well,
You know, I don't think it's just wishful thinking. I
As I
think
say,
it's...
I think I can see an improvement, but you know,
Yes.
in this situation, you do tend to clutch at straws a little bit.
Is there not a danger in that? The baby's now a week old. As each day goes by, isn't the mother going to get more closely attached to the baby?
Oh, yes, she will. And my feelings about this are that attachment, such as she feels, is a marvelous thing and a good experience to have. But it doesn't mean to say that therefore the person that is loved has got to live, even if they're handicapped. And she may feel that it would be really quite a loving thing to let the baby die, you see.
Yeah. Hello, Mrs. Walden. How are you today, love? That's good, love. What sort of a night did you have?
Well, sleep nearly 3 hours.
Was it really? Yeah. So a bit shattered?
Well, a bit, yes.
Yeah. Never mind, you'll be in your own bed tomorrow, all being well, won't you?
Mothers and fathers have unrestricted use of the baby unit, and no one has to wear sterile gowns as Dr. Garrow strives to bring together doctors, nurses and parents. The mothers work with the nurses in caring for their babies, and because they're constantly in touch with the nursing and even the treatment of the babies, a rare thing in any hospital, they quite naturally become involved in decisions about their baby's survival. Baby Nicola has lived 2 weeks, and her parents now know there are signs that she's beginning to decline.
Her legs are a little thinner, but that's about all, because they were quite chubby at first.
The decision we've made is that we have said when she doesn't want to drink, don't give her one, don't force feed her. What we're saying is let nature take its course. Don't let the feeding prolong her life.
If Nicola has to die, would it not be better if it could be done quickly?
I don't think that's fair. I think she still has a chance, and she is quite peaceful. She's not in any pain. And it's good for us to be with her. It's nice to see the baby, and I'd rather it had happened this way, actually.
Although she feels like mine, she doesn't in a lot of ways, because she's always in here. You know, I have to come and see her in here. It's not like I can cuddle her like she would if she was at home and that.
Are you happy in your own mind that you've made the right decision?
Oh, yes. Definitely.
But is there any difference between letting die and killing?
Well, I can think of an occasion where everybody felt that we'd reached the end of the trail, and the mother was living in the unit, and I told her that I was afraid we'd really done everything we could, and that really there was no point in going on, and so we took the baby off the respirator and put it in a cot by her side, and she took it into bed with her and held it in her arms until it died. And it seems to me a good way to die, better than strung up on a lot of resuscitative devices to the last second.
How would you describe the way that baby died from the mother's point of view?
Oh, it died being loved, which was a very fine thing to see.
Can you take the bottle?
Baby Lindsay's parents are still having to feed her by tube. Lindsay's still not sucking by herself, and they know that even at this stage, taking out that tube could mean the baby's death.
Have you done that before for other babies?
Yeah. No.
You've not done it,
Only
has
for
he?
this one.
What?
If anyone had
Haven't done
told
other
me,
people's babies?
No, if anyone had told me
Can I
a few
help?
days ago that I'd be able to do this, I'd have told them that they were wrong.
It's very good, isn't it?
It's amazing what you can do when you have to.
Baby Lindsay is not getting any better, and the doctor must now tell the parents there's more wrong with the baby than meets the eye. But who can blame the mother if the message doesn't get through, or if she chooses to remain optimistic?
Wait a week to see how she's doing.
Yes.
Because if the varium is cleared out of her system, she ought to be able to manage without tube feeding.
Yes.
Unless something very serious has happened
Yes.
to her. And you may feel that if, for instance, she is not sucking
Yes.
next week, then we ought to stop tube feeding her and see what happens. And then her appetite might improve and she'll suck better.
Yes.
Or it would not, in which case she's going to get thirsty, and then we'd have to relieve the thirst with sedatives, and she's not going to be able to live if she doesn't eat, you see.
No. Maybe 2 feeds in a day she'll suck reasonably well.
Yeah.
And the rest of the feeds, she's not even with it, you know, for the feed at all.
Yeah.
It's just a case of tubing her and...
The longer she goes on not feeding properly,
Yes.
the more likely it is that something pretty seriously is wrong.
Yes, yes.
And then one's got to do some pretty hard thinking and,
Yes.
and straight talking, I think.
hard thinking and straight talking. However sympathetic he undoubtedly is, that's what it must come down to if the worst happens to baby Lindsay.
The bath water, usually it should just be warm. Can you feel it to your elbow? Okay, that's a little bit hot because first of all I'm going to wash it.
Baby Damien's mother, Margaret, has at last come back to the hospital to see the baby she left behind 9 weeks ago. She was depressed after the birth and had been under medication, but now the unit's trying to teach her to take care of Damien herself, and they hope to get her to love the baby she hadn't planned. But no one knows for sure whether the 18-year-old mother will take to her baby.
I think by another week she'll be getting used to him. And the period of attachment could be months, but that will only come when she's at home. I don't think we'll work miracles on her in a week or so here. All we can do is teach her the basic care of a newborn infant, and from there let's hope that the affection grows, because she's such a nice, quiet girl, and I think it will grow in her own good time.
How did you manage to get her to return?
Well, it's about a week ago we wrote to her and said we wanted her very much to come in to look after Damien.
Did the letter do the trick?
No, I think it probably helped. I think it just showed her that we did care and we did want her to come and look after her baby. And I went out with one of the social workers and we brought her in, and she was really quite happy to come, but frightened.
Behind his ears.
But are you sure she wants the baby?
Yes, she assures me she does, and we must take her word for that. And she's got to learn to love him in the best way that she can, with our help, though. But if we're angry at her, that's not going to help.
All right, darling. There, it's not that bad. There. Is that good?
I think she's going to find it difficult to show her emotions towards him. And it's just, really, it is just going to be time, as I have said, before she will feel anything much for him. And probably it won't be until she takes him home. Because even under normal circumstances, mothers don't feel that their baby belongs to them until they get them out of the hospital.
Until they get them away from
Until
here?
they get them away from here and get them within their own home, and no nurses or doctors or anybody about. And then they feel they're theirs.
Well, she's been back with you just 24 hours now.
Yes, yeah.
Is she taking any notice of the baby yet?
Oh yes, she's beginning to talk to him in her own quiet way. She's looked after him, apart from during the night. She didn't have him with her last night. But she's bottle feeding him nicely, and she's touching him all the time that she's feeding him. She's frightened.
Right at the beginning, Margaret, did you want to have Damien right at the start when you first saw him?
I didn't really want him then. Not the very beginning. Because I didn't love him.
Why was that?
I don't know. Just, I didn't love him or anything. But now I'm in here and I'm with him. I feel like, you know, I love him now.
Margaret, if at that time somebody had suggested that Damien could be adopted or could be fostered, what would you have said?
I would have said yes then.
Well, what do you think's made the difference now?
Hmm.
Because you're always nursing him now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm always nursing him now. I wouldn't have him adopted now.
What do you think's got you attached to him now?
Well, I think it's all the you know, all the staff and that. You know, they've made me love him in that.
What's it going to be like when you leave here? Where are you going to live with?
I'm going back to my mum's to live. So I should be all right. I get a lot of help from my mum.
And do you have a room of your own?
Yes. Well, my sister's, you know, I share with my sister, but it's a large room. So I should be all right.
For those of you who don't know, baby Nicola died
yesterday morning. Yeah. Sally, you didn't know Nicola, did you? But Nicola was our little encephalocele baby who lived for 3 weeks. Very sad. It was Mum's second baby. She has one nice little girl, normal. We felt it was right to offer her food. We didn't feel it was right that we should just give water, because she was a quite well-formed child, and I think it would have been very distressing to the parents not to have given any food. And then suddenly she developed a very high temperature, and at the same time this sac of fluid burst, and the fluid had become heavily infected. And from then on the temperature just rose and rose and rose, and Nicholas sank, and quite fast, and died very, very peaceful at the end. At 6:30 yesterday morning, wasn't it? And the parents got here just about 10 minutes after she died, and they just held on to her and were very, very sad. But very, very relieved that she'd gone, because it had been a long, hard 3 weeks for them. But because they had been involved, they'd come to love her so much. It was really quite lovely to see them. Then they came back in the afternoon just to say thanks to all of us. Yeah, I know that was Nicola, but it was a sad day yesterday.
If baby Nicola had sucked and thrived, would you then still have considered that she should have been allowed to die?
Oh, I think nobody was in any doubt that her deformity was incompatible with longevity. In fact, she got meningitis, and this solved the problem.
But it was taken out of your hands then?
Well, it wasn't taken out of one's hands insofar as one didn't treat the meningitis. And she developed meningitis, and this untreated led to her death. And this, I think, was a proper withholding of a life-saving measure, where it was quite clear to everybody that it was better that a baby should die.
Baby Lindsay is now out of hospital and at home with her parents, because she can now suck and feeds herself. Looking back, does Lindsay's mother feel that parents should share in life or death decisions about their babies?
Yes, I think so, although I felt all along that the decision would be taken out of her hands. I felt that maybe if she was going to die, that she would suddenly have a convulsion when perhaps there was no one there, and she would die then.
But I think you've got to talk with the doctors and discuss it all, the pros and cons, and sort it all out between you. I mean, if she was going to be bad and in pain, then, you know, it's easy to say, well, we just let her go. But it's not so easy when it's your baby.
If you learned that she was badly damaged and wouldn't be able to have a full life, what then?
Well, nothing, because she is healthy enough to survive on her own, so I couldn't say no, let her die, because it wouldn't be a case of letting her die now. It would be a case of actually killing her.
Well, I feel whatever damage she's got now, well, I'm very optimistic, and I feel that it might only be slight, in, you know, that she might just be slow or backward, which, I mean, we can live with, and she can have a happy life, hopefully, you know.
You wouldn't mind that?
No, because, I mean, there are plenty of other children who are not all that bright that have happy lives.
But you're definitely one of us now, aren't you?
Have you ever been asked by parents to kill their baby?
Yes, I have. I've been asked by the father of a spina bifida baby to kill his baby and not to tell his wife. And I had to explain to him that I have no brief to kill and it's not my job. And that even if I had, I wouldn't dream of doing so without telling his wife and having her in on the decision. And so one can't accede to every request, but one does as well as one can.
Why do you think that father asked you to kill the baby?
Oh, it's very easy to understand. The process of dying is a very painful business for the relatives, and there's a great desire for the suffering which is often projected onto the dying person to be ended. What it means is that I wish you would die so as to put me out of my agony, not put you out of your agony. And I don't think it's one should take the easy option. I think it's a difficult time for everybody, and my job anyway is to support the parents in facing up to whatever is happening as in the natural course of events.
How long will it take you, Angela? About half an hour? Okay, Margaret. Right, Margaret, here you are, love. Do you want to take that, Angela? Okay. No, look after yourself, love. Yeah. We'll miss you ever such a lot, love.
Yeah,
okay.